Welcome back. Recently, the Nigerian government has been tinkling with the idea of, how would I call it now, of setting the entry age into university at 18, and they are looking at exploring how to make that legal. For them, they think that this would foster maturity and enhance academic performance. The announcement has been, or rather, this call has been made at various forums. Only recently, the tertiary, the TED Fund chairman, the Minister of Education, Professor Mamman Tahir, disclosed that government is considering overseeing the 2024 Universal Tertiary Education Matriculation conducted by the Joint Matriculation Board in Abuja. Mama expressed concern over the preference, or rather the presence of candidate age 15 and 16 sitting for the UMTH or UMTE, emphasizing that the expected age for tertiary education should be 18 years or older. He stressed that establishing the age threshold at 18 would afford candidates the necessary maturity to navigate their academic pursuit responsibly. And today we'll be opening the phone lines to get your take on some of these propositions, and whether or not this is what should worry the federal government at this time, because we have seen students graduate from secondary school at 15, sometimes coming out with even the best results, as the case may be.
I mean, I think it's a two-pronged approach where you can obviously see the glass half full side, the glass half empty side, because I also believe that, just as we were talking about the issue with the bullying, is the school isn't just about the academics. It's also about building character. Right. It's also about social skills. It's also about, social development, learning to, interact with people. Now, imagine if we have to share the studio with a 5-year-old because he's a genius. That's right. We can't relate on a level because he can't share the same experiences that we have. That's right. So there is also that component, which I think is equally important. That social component is equally important. So growing up within your peers is important in shaping the way you see the world, in trying to understand some of these things. And I understand that sometimes, if you're too good for primary 3, they want to promote you to primary 5 because that's where your intelligence is at. That's but also, beyond just that, I think is the other side of the equation, which is not necessarily academic, but also equally important, the social aspect of it that can also help the individual as he goes along. I mean, imagine a graduate, at 15 years old, throw him into the labor market, for instance, because he has graduated way too early. That's right. I think he's not going to enjoy life as much as he should. So, we want to allow children to be children, to have all the experiences. But yeah, it would be nice to get into university at 18 because there are so many who are not in universities because they have not, passed the examinations and things like that. But
at other times, you pass the examinations and the quota systems.
Exactly.
There's also capacity that. There's also that. Also. Make sure that you stay another 2 years. And so the average age of graduation in Nigeria is hovers somewhere around 25 and 30. Especially for people from low and middle income homes. The rich always have a way of circumventing distance. So we would like to get your call. Our numbers are displayed on the screen. If you try the first one, it's not going, you try the other one. We have our first call. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning. I'm coming from Oka, number 6.
Thank you. Can we have your name, please?
Mr. Emmanuel Chikwegie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel from Oka. Let us have your views.
Well, the age bracket is very necessary in terms of those who are applying for the job or want to enter university. Because your level of maturity, that is your mind, your faith, when you are 18 years. Understand?
Thank you very much.
They are not matured enough to know what is good and what is bad at that age.
So, Mr. Emmanuel, let us take a deep dive. Where do you think this problem should it's emanating from? Is it that these children get into school very early, or is it about the skipping of classes as we see? What exactly do you think accounts for some of this early graduation?
I think we've lost our connection to Mr. Emmanuel there, but he's made the point. There's also, there's that maturity. I also, growing up, we used to hear that before you get into nursery school, you have to be able to touch the other side of your ear from this side.
But with all the food supplements available these days,
exactly. while that may not necessarily be a good measure, it was in other ways to rate whether you are ready for school. Let's speak to our next caller now. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, this morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you for joining us on Daybreak Interactive. What's your name, please, and where are you calling in from? Hello there. Okay, you can obviously see on the screens there, the options are available for you. 2 numbers to give it a try. Sometimes the network can be tricky. I give you that. So let's try any of the ones that you would like to give us a call on, so you can have your say on this planned age bracket for our students to graduate and to gain entry into universities or generally tertiary institutions across the country. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, I can obviously tell that the service is bad, as is usually the case more often than not, but do give it a try. I would love to especially hear from parents, because some of these things that you were talking about earlier are engineered by parents.
Absolutely.
I've had so many friends who, even while we're in primary 4, their parents were already talking about common interest in primary 5. And I couldn't but ask myself, like, why? Why do you want to skip? Why do you want to rush things, right? And it happens in primary school, so it also happens in secondary school. They try these mock examinations, and when they do well, their parents want them to graduate to the next level. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to the program. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Pele Banen. I speak from Nasarawa State.
You're calling from Nasarawa State. All right, go ahead. Good to have you.
I'm not supporting for somebody who say 18 years before person go to university.
Can you just
Yes.
turn down the volume of your TV set and just speak to us directly, because we can hear the feedback from your TV, and then go ahead with your thoughts. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not supporting of say somebody should go to school when of 18 years. Even though my daughter finished 21 years when he finished university, he go for service now. So you see some people that say he want to go marry, they say 25. So they say 30. The time when they marry will be late. People are saying I'm not supporting of say 18 years. If somebody is brilliant, anything from even though you get somebody of 10 years, he can enter university. Even if he's brilliant.
At 10 years old?
It depends on the parents. How the parents treat the person. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining the conversation. It just reminded me of this sitcom that I used to watch, Young Sheldon. I mean, he was brilliant and all that, went to high school when his mates were still in elementary school and things like that. I guess it was a comedy, but you can obviously see that, those social skills are important. I mean, no matter how much of a genius you are, you need social skills, because we're in a world where the interaction there can also get you ahead in life. And they're also very important. As we also pointed out earlier, I think the experts in the field will agree that, school isn't just about the grades, isn't just about, the calculations or your ability to, understand what's happening. It's also about a human experience where you can get some of these lifelong skills about interacting with people, about knowing, how people relate, and you can learn a lot of that from your peer groups. Knowing how to manage your relationships and things like that. So, yeah, but this is one father who says that at 10, if you're smart enough, you can get into university. Imagine a 10-year-old in university.
Amazing. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
He talked about his daughter who graduated at 21, and that has given us some kind of head start, perhaps, in life by his own account. But we are more interested in producing people who, in the overall, are complete in every aspect of life. The cognitive ability is well developed, like you said. The social cognitive skills are also very well horn, so that when you get thrown into society, you just know what is expected of you, whether it is in living with people, or or taking up your civic responsibility, or how to manage some of those early expectations, because the downfall of a number of these kids have also been how early on they got some of these things coming their way,
and I think it goes along to make the point that is what we usually have with almost every stratification that we have in our social life, whether it's marriage, for instance, right? You have to come of a certain age, because then you're expected that, after so years in life, you must have learned a couple of things that can prepare you for what comes next. You understand? When it comes to even public office, for instance, right? Imagine a 25-year-old president running this country. He might be the smartest person in the world, but you definitely know that at 25, this is too big of a task. So, but also, I also understand that with lowered life expectancy, for instance, you want to get started sooner rather than later, right? People don't live as long, especially the next generation. They're not going to live, to see 90s and the hundreds probably because of quality of life and things like that. I think life expectancy is around 50, 54, 56, give or take. So you want to start early. You definitely want your children to start life early, and obviously we've seen that a 10-year-old now looks like a 15-year-old.
Yeah, in some cases, it's just like a flight. You have to power up to a certain level of speed before you gain altitude. Otherwise, all that load will come crashing.
Imagine you give birth to a baby and the baby starts working today. That is unusual, isn't it?
That's right.
You crawl, you walk, you run. I think that's a natural thing. But also, I mean, these are standards that vary from society to society. The Nigerian government is saying maybe this is what we need to think of, and I think maybe they're also trying to, limit, because when it comes to admission numbers, the numbers are quite staggering.
Yeah.
I mean, the current UTME examination, I think they're well over 2 million.
That's right.
And the number continues to grow. Let's speak to our next caller then. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
If you can hear us, we have some distortions with that call. We would like to hear your contribution. Please do well to call back. If you've tried one of the lines, you probably would want to try the other. It's important we hear from you so that we can put these issues into proper perspective. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Obekina Friday. I'm calling from Kogi State University, like that.
Thank you very much. And we are happy to have you join us, especially from a learning institution. Can we have your thoughts, please?
I think the best thing to do is to set this 18 years as minimum age in tertiary institution.
Right.
I lecture in the university, and the kind of people with ENI are people who are not mature. And when you see this kind of people who are not mature, the kind of character exhibited by these people is another thing else. I don't know why Nigerians will be rushing. Where are we rushing to? It is better to have a matured and sound person on the long run than to have somebody that we are training people in both character and learning. It's not just the learning aspect that we should put into consideration. You should look at the character. If you are not mature, the character will not be okay. It will be sound. Even the kind of behavior we see in the lecture rooms today is another thing in society. So, setting 18 years as the minimum entry requirement, age requirement, into total institutions is the best for the country. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. And someone from the academy speaks like that. It tells you a lot about what they have to deal with. You're a lecturer in the university. You expect that you're dealing with people who have some basic level of maturity to understand that, okay, you have to be serious about certain things, and then you understand you're dealing with children who are still,
some
exactly, and that's just a very tasking situation.
I think it's more than makes the point to emphasize that the teaching method in the university is one that requires a lot of self-discipline, self-rightening. Nobody will be there to say you've got to wake up this morning and go to lectures. You just don't show up, and you see the consequences at the end of the semester. Good morning, your name and where are you calling from?
This is Emmanuel from Akwa Ibom State.
Emmanuel from Akwa Ibom, good morning to you.
This is not the topic I was expecting you to discuss today. I was expecting you to discuss something about something that is this country, like fuel and food scarcity. You need food scarcity and fuel that is disturbing the whole country and discuss someone that wants to enter university for 18 years. How does that want to disturb this country? You need something that is supposed to discuss that is disturbing the whole country. Many people is dying. Leave that and discuss about It's not a good thing. It's not helping matter. What you're discussing now is not helping anybody. It's not assisting this country for anything. If you discuss something that is meaningful, what you're doing is not meaningful for the whole country. It's not helping anybody.
Okay.
It's got the guy in my bag. I did not expect this money from you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your contribution.
I appreciate the scolding, but also if I can break the news for you, if you had only asked, is this all that we have to offer? I can easily tell you that no, because we're going to talk about the energy crisis in a few minutes' time. But then again,
let me also make it clear that whatever affects our children,
affects our future. It's not only about the hunger we feel right now. These are very important issues.
Part of the things we suffer in this country is the quality of human resource we have at the level of governance. And whatever can help us prepare these sound minds for quality leadership tomorrow is also very important.
This is a feedback mechanism where the government can actually understand what the people think about what they're trying to do. And we're trying to bridge that gap between what the policymakers are doing and what Nigerians who have to deal with these policies think about it. So it's an opportunity for you to not just talk about fuel. What about when fuel prices come down? Is that the end of the story? And I think that, we don't have the luxury to only discuss one thing at every point in time. Hello, good morning, and welcome to the program.
Oh, good morning, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Etobasi Ofem. I'm calling from Kosovo State, Yako.
Good to hear from you this morning. Go ahead.
In fact, the program on board presently is a wonderful idea by Nigerian government and meaningful Nigerians, because it will help to curb the excesses of parents who feel that children should be employed into Nigerian departments or ministries when they are still kindergarten. In those days, the white man that introduced education had a criteria that your hand must go across your head to touch your other ear in order for you to be able to hear, understand the trend of things. But because education was bastardized before now, you see, every parent wants a child who is even a kindergarten stage to be in the university. And they don't have matured minds to withstand the stress of academic pursuits. No wonder parents are paying so much, go to lecturers, bribe them because the brains of their children are not wide enough to take in the academics that is required at tertiary level, the training and the teaching. So if Nigerian government will make a reflection of what the white man left far back as when they colonized us, Nigeria will not be turning out graduates who are half-baked, graduates who have nothing to say when there are, problems to be solved by graduates. In fact, this idea is the best because, one, it will reduce half-baked education. Two, it will reduce the number of graduates in a year, and it will allow parents to face their children. And it will add to the development of even individual families. Children who are running out of their homes, going to universities without acquiring the basic training from homes, become foolish people, even while they take over offices. Parents feel bribe for them to remain in offices. My brothers, I thank you so much. Whoever has brought this program, look, I see it as a sine qua non. It must stand.
Thank you so
that
much.
We will know where this country is going to. We will reduce this
half-baked education.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that contribution. We really do appreciate your well-rounded. We couldn't have said it any better. It's about really understanding the goal of nurturing a child into adulthood, for instance, and that is what the 63 education that we have right now. Even though I think the government has been trying to tweak it, but it still looks like the best formula so far: 6 years in primary school, 3 years in junior secondary school, 3 years in senior secondary school, and that just put together is 12 years.
And another 1 year. And 4 years in the university, another 1 year National Youth Service.
National Youth Service. Yeah. So I think the numbers make sense, especially if you have to consider because also you have to talk about the social pressures in the university, cultism and all of these things. If the child is not ripe enough, he can be easily influenced. We talk about peer pressure all the time. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you very much. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Sunday. I'm calling you from Anambra.
Thank you. That's my namesake this morning from Anambra.
And one of the finest states as far as education is concerned in this country, I must say. Good to have you join us. Go ahead.
See, there is something I want to say.
Go ahead, please.
You cannot deprive a child his destiny or her destiny. If a child is gifted in a certain way, I don't see anything wrong with that. Most of the time, these lecturers you are seeing, it's good when your daughter or when your son enter into university with the fear of God. Because I know these are this age we are talking about is the age that when they are in the university, whatever that is being instructed by the lecturer is what they are going to do. They will not go to the school to start misbehaving. They will not have the mind to form this. But when you take a mature person into university, you will see that the lecturers, most of these lecturers will look at them as people that they are wide, they can take advance on. But with the fear of God, when they enter into university, with that age we are assuming, they can be able to follow. They can be able to respect the lecturers with fear and other things. And by the time they graduate, they can be of use to their parents on time. Because in Nigeria today, or in a country we find ourselves today, things are very hard. And you see many people dying of BP. So a child is supposed to follow his or her destiny, come out on time, do what he or she is called to do.
Yeah.
We are talking about older people being in government today, serving the masses. I don't see anything wrong with that if a child of 25 years or 26 years is in that same office. So I look at it, this is what the program we are supposed to have this morning. We have many things at hand that balance this country. Allow a child to move on with his or her destiny. That is.
Okay. Thank you so much for that conversation. And I also like to believe that, disagree. Let's agree to disagree on, the different points of view. But I think one thing that we can all agree on, to be honest, is that, time is of the essence in terms of nurturing. Sometimes the emphasis we put on education, I don't see any other country put it in to such extent. Do we have another caller? Okay. Like, for instance, you talk about the kind of education you get in China and how China is educating its population. They shifted from just academic knowledge to vocational skills. That is what they value. And that is why China today is the manufacturing capital of the world. Everybody's going to China to manufacture their... You understand? So they're not necessarily prioritizing, the certifications and just putting the focus on something so superficial.
On the path to professionalism in the UK. Half of the UK workforce don't didn't have to go to a university.
Yeah.
You go to a trade center, you pick up skills, and after a period, you take a certification based on those skills, and it's the equivalent of any university.
You see, the America that we love to draw parallels from, they have this phenomenon they call a gap year.
That's right.
Where young children, young teenagers finish from high school and they take a year off.
That's right.
And they want to go into the labor market, for instance, learn a skill, learn a trade, or just, you know what, just stay away from school for a year because they want to experience, life outside of school for a year. I mean, some parents don't encourage that and things like that. But also, the point is that the government is thinking about doing this thing to help streamline some of the gaps within the system itself. And I think there are so many valid points that support the argument. There are also other valid points that counter it, especially when someone is so good that you have to admit that, listen, you're only delaying him if you keep that, child at such level.
All right. And in rounding up this conversation, let me re-emphasize again that we cannot concentrate on some sets of problem in this country every day on this program. Everything is important. The quality of life, family, and all of that are very important subjects that we must find time to also discuss because they upset the social fibers of this country. It doesn't have to be about first caste every day, or governance or corruption. As we understand them, there are several things that encompasses the complete human, or the ideal society that we all clamor for, and we have to address these issues once they come up, and hence the choice of today's topic. And we thank those who have found this very valuable, and I'm sure a good number of our listeners would have also found some of these advisories that have come from people who should know, very useful, so that they don't rush these children out of their age bracket into things where they continue to struggle to play catch up with people who are matured and are fitting
and can take advantage of them.
And can take advantage of them, basically. And that's all we would have the time to take this morning on Daybreak Interactive.